Previously on Video Game Hangover.
I don't like monkeys. I don't know what the deal is. Have I talked about this? I'm not a fan of monkeys.
No.
I had one. I had one in my Animal Crossing town.
I'm
for the
surprised you
longest
didn't
time.
pick him.
No, I'm trying to forget about that guy. He finally moved away. It was great. I had a big party. And I'm gonna build a trash can where his house used to be.
Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover, the podcast for Miley Cyrus, Barack Obama, and the Penny Arcade guys, and anyone else who's made poor decisions in the last week.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Bringing it all together. Each week on VGH, we'll discuss the games that have been keeping us up late and break down a gaming-related topic. On this week's show, DJ just flew back from PAX, and I don't know how to intro this anymore. Regardless, he's got a full report on the best stuff he saw and played in Seattle over the weekend. And ate, and inevitably, and smelled.
I ate some donuts.
You smelled some stuff.
I ate 7 donuts.
Like in a day, in a sitting, or?
Well, in my defense, 6 of them were mini donuts.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's a story. We're done here, folks.
Right. Thank you and good night. In the Hangover this week, Paul weighs in on Shin Megami Tensei 4. We've also got a quick update on our summer backlog attack, and we'll wrap things up with Last Call. I'm Randy Dickinson, and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
I'm DJ Ross, and I am back in Mountain View, California.
Yay!
Hello, this is Paul Sandu, still, unfortunately, in Dallas, Texas.
Man.
Should get out of that place every now and then, Paul.
I need a vacation.
We have some new music before we get into the heart of this week's show from the cool folks at Curve Studios. It's the soundtrack to Stealth Bastard, which got sort of repackaged when it made its way to the PS3 and Vita this year as Stealth Inc. The music is by Ricky Hanmong, and it's awesome. So big thanks to them for allowing us to use the music. And you can go to curvestudios.bandcamp.com to listen to the whole thing, to get a copy of the soundtrack for yourself. And if you can't remember that because you're driving right now, just go to our blog at vghangover.com and look for a link in the show notes.
Nice. Or pull over.
Pull over and scribble this down, right? Write it on your hand. Or don't pull over.
You can tell we're tired tonight.
For the sound of screeching tires. Viewer mail. DJ, tell us about viewer mail.
We got some viewer mail. Last week we were talking about our video game rage. And we have a comment from Pastry on the blog. Oh, I love it when Pastry writes in. I just like the idea of Pastry, even though this is a guy. But, I don't know.
It's a person.
Man, this is a long comment, and I forgot to call out part of it. So I'm just going to read the whole thing. He says, he's generally a very calm dude and doesn't rage at video games unless they have a long waiting period before trying again. I think he gets into a little detail of what that means. He says the only memorable time that he's actually raged is during Kingdom Hearts, where there was an unskippable 5 to 6 minute long cutscene followed by a boss fight that he would lose every time.
The worst.
Man, yeah, for some reason this didn't even occur to me, this scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just playing, what was it? Shadows of the Damned was terrible about this. And actually, that was like the first time I could really remember experiencing that in a game. But I was just like, oh god, I gotta listen to this horrible
dialogue. It's an obnoxious design choice to have, first of all, unskippable cutscenes, but two, to make them really long before a tough boss battle. Like, why?
It's like how does that even make its way into games at this point?
I don't know.
I don't know. The worst is when you can recite all of the dialogue that happens.
I could even find it acceptable to make the first instance of it not skippable. Like, we made this game, you're going to watch this goddamn cutscene.
Sure, okay.
But if you're going to reboot me and bring me back to the whole beginning of this encounter and make me do this boss fight over again from scratch, I need to be able to skip that goddamn cutscene.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We are there with you. I'm all raged again.
Mass Effect 3, just to call out another example, that fight with the crazy ninja guy at the end. He has like a half an hour monologue, and then like he stops during the middle of the fight to take more like jabs at you, and just like, oh, I'm so great, and I'm gonna kill you. And, oh, it's the worst.
Douchebag McGee.
Yeah. So anyway, excuse me. Pastry wraps up his comment saying the nature of games and not cutscenes is to have fun, and to start raging whenever something difficult happens seems to defeat the purpose. He says games should be fun and not rage-inducing. I think we can all agree to that.
Yeah. No, they are. I mean, we play them because of that. We play them because they are fun. They are an escape. It's when you get stuck in these bullshit cycles sometimes that, that's when the rage creeps in and the fun just sort of disappears.
Yeah.
But we agree they should be fun.
Hopefully most of the time they are. Otherwise, think about what you're doing. So then
otherwise
he
you
also
might be playing a Suda51 game.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
With love to Suda.
Yes. So anyway, he has one more comment for us since we were asking our backlog-nauts in the backlog attack contest what was the first game they ever finished. He says the first game he ever beat was Super Mario World on the Super NES back when he was around 4, and he co-opted it with his friend. That's pretty cool. I forgot that you could do that kind of trade-off, Mario and Luigi in those old Mario games. Do you guys remember the first game you ever completed?
This was actually very, very difficult for me. I know it's something from the 80s for sure. At least I would hope so. I think it's Contra. I'm not sure. It could
man.
It could be going further back. I don't think it's anything from the old arcade days, but I'll just throw Contra against the wall and hope it sticks and hope it's true. I could be lying, guys. I don't know.
I vaguely recall beating one of the Super Mario Brothers games at some point on a Nintendo Entertainment System.
Mm-hmm.
What was the one where you could turn in the Tanuki suit? Was that 3?
That was 3.
That's Mario 3.
That might have been the first game I ever played to completion.
Oh, wow.
If not, it was... and I'm not sure if I remember actually doing it myself or seeing... I had an uncle who was a big gamer, or seeing him do it. But independently, I can verify that the only game, the first game anyways, that I finished all by myself was the first Silent Hill.
Oh, wow.
With the help of a strategy guide. Yeah. But that was quite an accomplishment. I was very proud of that. I'm still proud of that. That's a tough game to get through, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Do you guys remember the first game I ever finished? I think I've mentioned it on here before.
No.
We need a refresher.
Okay. Yeah. No, it was also exam. Super Mario 3.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I stole your story. Maybe I co-opted your memory and turned it into mine.
You just it heard me explain that, and you're exactly. Made it your own memory.
Just sort of right.
I like that story. I'm taking that.
This is right. We're writing a sequel to Remember Me here. This is.
Oh man.
I inceptioned you and something. I don't know. Yeah.
I hope that's what happened. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So thanks for that memory, DJ. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. Anytime. Oh man. I hope this keeps happening. Next episode, you'll be like, "I had such a great time in Seattle."
Wait, that wasn't you.
Yeah. Anyway, as we mentioned, the backlog contest is wrapping up. By the time you listen to this, I think you'll have just this one last weekend to get through as many games as you can, because the contest ends Monday, September 9th. And your final task will be, there will be a post on vghangover.com. All you need to do is leave a comment with a list of games that you ended up completing. Yeah, that sounds about right.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and then
if
we
you
will...
can't fit that into 140 characters, go to our blog.
Yeah. Yes, do that. And then based on those lists and based on all your wonderful comments over the last few weeks, we will determine who is going to win the fall game of their choice.
Yeah. And we'll get that order in for you right away, just in case it's GTA 5, which is right around the corner.
Oh, yeah, which is kind of frightening, actually.
I want to give a call out before we move on to Chachi on Twitter. He is not actually participating in our backlog attack, but he said all of his summer gaming has been a backlog attack so far. He just finished up Hotline Miami, Tomb Raider, and he's about to wrap up Dishonored. So 2
of those games are on my list, and he's ahead of me.
I'm not saying, Paul, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This guy's sneaking into your house playing your games.
He's stealing my memories and my games now.
Exactly.
Oh man, my call out is don't judge my ADD. Last week he tweeted that he knocked out Runner 2, which I know one of us is a huge fan of.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good.
And is still free on PlayStation Plus if you have it, I think so.
I really enjoyed it when I beat it on hard.
Okay.
Oh, I think we're all stealing DJ's memories.
Yeah, I'm just going to start doing that now. I will live vicariously through DJ.
The only productive gamer with a social life on our show is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I was also gonna give a shout out to Don't Judge My ADD because, as we mentioned, he's doing this whole microblog thing, and he's continuously updating it. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, we might as well give him another link. So check that out if you haven't already. It'll be in the show notes.
Cool. All right, so we are. Well, the community's in the home stretch of this thing. We still have a couple of weeks. We're going to play through a couple more games on our backlog before the big GTA reveal. So stay tuned. We'll continue to update you guys on that, and we will have a winner for you next week.
Yes.
Cool. Speaking of backloggery, in the Hangover this week, I actually got some hands-on time with, I know you're going to be jealous, Army of Two, The Devil's Cartel.
So jealous.
Yep.
Oh, man.
You may recall a couple of weeks back, I put a cry out to the community looking for anyone out there who had a PS3 copy of this and would proudly step up and admit that. And possibly play some co-op with me. And lo and behold, I got an email from Chris in our community saying, hey, I have the game. I'll play with you. Get in touch. And it turns out Chris lives right near me, like 10 minutes away from me. So Chris and I have been talking games and talking smack on our way through Army of Two.
Did you actually hang out to play this?
We haven't in person yet. No, I've not actually met him, although it's not far of a drive. I'm sure that will happen someday. But video game hangover, bringing people together.
What a heartwarming story.
I know, huh? But we played a boatload of Army of Two Devil's Cartel over the weekend. It's dumb, but it's fun. It's completely what I expected from the third title in the Army of Two series.
Oh man, there's three of them.
There are three. I've played all three of these games now. I think I'm an Army of Two.
Somebody must be playing them.
Fan? I'm an Army of Two loyalist. I'm not sure. But they're okay. I mean, they're third-person, cover-based, bro-tastic shooters. There's a lot of fist bumps and hoo-yahs and, joking about, one of the other characters' hot sister and things like that. And I roll my eyes and groan and take cover and shoot at some folks. This game takes place in Mexico. You are fighting against cartels who have done, I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention.
Devilish things.
Some devilish things, yeah. But it's fully functional. It works perfectly. It's pretty polished. The cover system works great. I seldom get stuck behind things. The headshots work the way that they're supposed to. There's an awesome, overdrive thing that I think is kind of a staple of the series where you build up enough rage in your rage meter and you tap a button and everything slows down and the bullets in whatever weapon you're carrying are basically sort of like tank missile because the sides of buildings fall off and cars explode and people go flying through the air and their arms and legs fly off and it's just insanity for about 20 seconds. And if you time it just right and you and your co-op partner hit that trigger at the same time, it's absolute hell burning
double rage.
It is insanity.
It's the bro force.
And that's fun. So you find yourself sort of pinned down and overwhelmed, and wave after wave after wave of dudes are coming at you. You both hit that trigger and just lay waste to everything, and it's oddly satisfying. So yeah, Army of Two. It is exactly what I wanted it to be. It is good, mindless fun.
I have very little experience with the Army of Two games, but I will admit I really enjoyed the co-op demo many moons ago. And when I played it, even though the bro-tasticness of the characters was really stupid, gameplay was. I really enjoyed having to lean on your partner a lot to get through objectives and having to help each other when you get knocked down or knocked out and stuff. That was really cool. So maybe there is potential there. I just kind of don't pay attention to it because of the I guess the veneer on it.
Right, sure. The package they put that into, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's completely valid. This is not something that I would spend $60 on. I don't think, probably all told, all three of the Army of Two games, I probably have an investment of about $35. So, with apologies to those developers, of course, but I have absolutely gotten my money's worth out of the Army of Two series. So, they're fun. It's stupid. Listen, if you find yourself in a sort of gaming lull and you and a friend are looking for some sort of diversion, I would heartily recommend any of the Army of Two games. But this one is probably the most polished and the most accessible I've played. And you certainly don't need to have played the previous ones to be able to enjoy the deep narrative of Army of Two Devil's Cartel.
I'm looking at these Metacritic scores. I'm just like, oh, are you really telling people to play this game?
Yep. Yeah. This is basically, I've spent the summer suggesting people play really bad games. So at least sort of games that don't necessarily respond to critics, but I think from somebody who just wants to be entertained.
There's nothing wrong with the occasional popcorn flick.
I'm okay with that.
I don't know if the user score is not doing too much better than the critic score.
Well, you need to get in there then and represent for those of us who,
Well, I haven't played any of them, so I will abstain from further comments.
Don't get me wrong. This is not The Last of Us. And it's hard for me to sort of go from talking about, everything that's going on in The Last of Us and to the Army of Two. And you really can't draw a line between those two experiences. But, like Pastry said, games should be fun. And this is. If that wasn't a half-assed endorsement of a product. I'm also still playing more Splinter Cell, and it's still fun.
Oh, I got to get back to that. It's been I wasn't able to play it this weekend. I was like kind of hardcoring through it last week, and then I took a break.
I will say that last week we kind of complained a little bit because it started off in a very strange way with, you're crawling around in the desert and you're in military camps and the sun is shining and there really wasn't a whole lot of shadow or anything kind of Splinter Cell kind of iconic to it. But I've gotten further in the game now and I can happily say that there is quite a few more scenarios where you're crawling around in the dark and shooting out lights and sneaking up on guards and, crawling through air ducts and stuff like that. And it very much feels like the Splinter Cell experience that I like. So,
the first couple levels are just strange.
What a weird way to start this thing.
Yeah. And, but no, I was surprised, especially with the three play styles that they emphasize. You you should pick one of these and stick to it. And two of them are like the kill everyone play style. That they actually really force stealth on you pretty quickly into the game. Like not even just like don't kill anyone. It's like don't even be detected or you will fail. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, maybe you're not into that, but as a Splinter Cell veteran, it was kind of refreshing that it was like, okay, we haven't forgotten that we are a stealth game, and we're going to make you do some of this.
Well, they're really good in the main campaign too about not getting to those fail states, not getting to the point where it goes, oh, you were seen, everything's over, back to the beginning, scrub the whole mission.
20-minute cutscene.
Exactly. But if you like
skippable
that...
cutscenes in Splinter Cell, thankfully.
Totally. Yep. But if you like that about Splinter Cell games, and there is a part of me that does sort of enjoy being beat up by that from previous games, there are tons of side missions. There are things you can walk around in your sort of flying headquarters, and everybody will give you, do this sort of second op. And all of those are, if you fail, you're over. You're done. So they do flip the switch on those rules and give you very sort of clear parameters by which sort of your success is measured. So I kind of dig that too, that, if you do have that itch for a very structured, disciplined stealth experience where, if your toe peeks out of the shadow and a guard sees it, all is lost. That is still here too. And you don't have to do any of that stuff. You don't like that about the game, don't play those side missions. You're still okay. So it's cool. There's a lot in this package, and I haven't even gone online with it yet. So
yeah. Waiting until I finish up the campaign to do the co-op, and then definitely Spies versus Mercs.
Yep, and I will say that my new friend Chris has Splinter Cell for the PS3 as well, and is itching to play a little Spies versus Mercs with us. So if anyone else wants in on that, get in touch with us.
Excellent.
Paul, what have you been playing this week?
I've jumped on the Shin Megami Tensei deal. From earlier in the season, where you get that $30 eShop credit.
I know it well.
I barely got in under the wire. I think I got it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm liking it. I remember, Randy, when you were talking about it about a month ago on the show, you gave a very interesting overview. Like you were saying all this stuff about how it's like the game takes place in a medieval world, but then there's like you have like computers or something that's going on. Like it's this weird mishmash of like future technology and an ancient samurai world. And you're right. It's very strange. If I had to describe the game in one word, it's very strange.
It is
for sure.
quite a melting pot of influences.
Your one-word description is very strange.
Okay. 2-word description. But I gotta say, once I got past the first hour and all the what the fuck is going on isms in the game, and
that brutal tutorial.
Oh yeah, let me just quickly say, I died twice in that tutorial within 2 minutes.
Only twice. Okay, all right. Yeah. So I say only twice, but just in the first 2 minutes. Yeah, that sounds about right.
In 2 minutes, and they're like, "You might want to try easy mode." I'm like, "Yeah, I think so."
Really, Sherlock? You think so, huh?
What's so difficult about the tutorial?
I don't know. I would die in a random battle in like one hit, and I don't even know what the hell was happening. I'm like, what?
You walk around a corner in a dungeon, and there's this sort of army of. I guess it's a bit of a giveaway, so I don't want to get into that. But they really just clean your clock.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened in that tutorial because everything was going swimmingly until I got to my first fight and died, and then died in my second battle. I'm like, all right, so whatever. But once I put it on easy, the battles became a lot more fun. I'm starting to understand the mechanics, and I find that it's really good. But there's very little room for error, so it's not very newbie friendly at all. So thank goodness there is that easy mode for sure. And I'm still playing it on easy, 10 hours in. Okay, and there have been the occasional boss battle, which has kicked my ass. So I can only imagine how difficult the game would be on normal, unless you grind a lot. And I'm not really in the mood, to grind up levels to power through bosses and whatnot. So I think I'm going to stick with easy for a little while, but.
And there's still a challenge there. Do you still find it is sort of coming at you pretty aggressively?
Some of the bosses, for sure. The regular battles, not so much. I just put that like on auto battle, and I can blow through those really quick.
Auto battle? Wait a minute.
No. Well, there's the occasional time where I've wiped out when I was playing it on auto. But I'm still getting my feet wet. I've never played any of these titles in the Shin Megami series. I'm still learning the ropes, but I gotta say it's really cool because I haven't played anything like this before. In terms of story and what the hell is going on. It's a very weird mishmash of like the occult and, I don't know. It's very difficult to describe without giving anything away because there are some nice reveals that make you wonder what's going on, but kind of tie things together in a way. I can't say very much because I don't want to give anything away because it's very interesting.
and you're not really super far into it either, so it's still kind of, I think, opening up to you, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
How do you feel about the sort of demon fusing thing? Because I think that was the part of it that I found the most compelling.
I don't know. I haven't really dabbled too much into it because I've only done one fusion 10 hours in. So I'm probably missing out on an entire section of the game.
Oh, yeah. I had done a ton of it by that point.
You know what it is? I'm getting very attached to my demons that I've leveled up.
Oh, that's interesting.
Do I really want to lose this particular demon who's been very useful to me and take a risk on another demon? So I'm trying to find a balancing act between that.
I was basically playing no loyalty, so you got to carry your way to your out. For those who don't know, if you're listening to this, as you fight your way through these dungeons, you can convince some of the enemies that you're interacting with, who are demons, to come over to your side. And there's a bribery process. And then you have the ability to combine seemingly disparate demons to build kind of better, more sort of powerful or more diversely interesting other demons. And there's a whole functionality you have in your little gauntlet that tells you sort of ideal ways to mix them up and what the outcome would be and stuff like that. So it really does encourage exploration and experimentation, which I did a lot of, and Paul will probably get there. I'm sure you'll get to a point where
I have not
you don't have the option but to do that.
I've been waiting to try to make some of the special demons. That's what I'm kind of waiting for. But I have not spent too much time with the demon fusion. I'm sure I'm missing out on an entire aspect of the game, or the entire point, because you gain all of your party members through recruiting demons, which is an entire mini game in itself. Like when you try to recruit a demon in battle, you get prompted with all these different questions. They're like, "What's your favorite thing to eat?" It's just a random.
What?
bullshit. But you have to figure out the way to answer the question that'll satisfy that particular demon. And there's a little bit of trial and error, but sometimes, depending on just how the demon looks, if it looks like a very aggressive demon, for example, if you respond aggressively, sometimes they'll respond positively to that. So then you can recruit them a lot easier. Or if you say the wrong thing, they'll like take some of your money and smack you. It's really an interesting little mini game for the entire recruitment process. It's very interesting.
And then every now
what's
and
your
then
favorite thing to eat?
I was going to say, every now and then, begrudgingly, they would heal everybody in your party. I was like, how did I do that? How do I do that again? Tell me what you want to hear.
Yes, it's like if you ever been in a relationship, it's just like that.
Oh man,
ooh, it cuts a little deep there, Paul.
Coming from the married guy. Oh dear.
Well, there's trial and error involved. Come on.
Sure, as in any relationship.
Yeah. No, but I really dig it. And I don't know if you mentioned this, but the production values are off the charts too. The game just looks beautiful. The voice acting is incredible. Some of my favorite voice actors are in it. Ali Hillis, she's in the Mass Effect series as Liara, and she plays your computer companion, which is really kind of cool. She does an awesome job, and I love hearing her voice in games. Oh, yeah. And the music, Randy, why the hell didn't you mention the awesome rock music in this game? Because
I was too busy dying.
Oh, man, if you love a good guitar solo, this game is custom made for you. Yeah, but I'll spend some more time with it maybe in the next couple of months when I finally finish it, because I'm sure it's going to be like 800 hours long, so I'll have some more impressions in the future. We'll see.
Cool. I paused on it. I sort of got distracted by other things, but I intend to go back to it. I liked it. I got to a point where I was sort of getting a feel for it. I think I talked about this on the show, and was really sort of getting into the flow of it and feeling a little more confident in the encounters. But I don't know. I think it was SteamWorld Dig. I started playing that, and then completely lost my way. So
how far into the story did you get without spoiling anything?
I don't know if I remember that. I think they were just finally turning me loose, because they kind of keep you pretty well channeled for the first maybe 7-8 hours, right? Does that sound right? Yeah. And then they kind of go, okay, well, go do your thing. And I was sort of just a few hours into that part of the experience.
Did you get to the first big reveal?
Maybe.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you probably haven't.
All right. We can talk offline, because I'm sure this is not interesting.
Yeah, it was very eye-opening, though. No, I have to say, there's this
That's
one
good
moment,
radio.
about 10 hours in, I'll just leave all the listeners hanging. About 10 hours into this game, there's a reveal of the demon world, and it's really interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not to that point then. Definitely, I've survived a surprising turnabout, double cross, and pretended I was very devastated by that. But I've not gotten to the thing you're trying to describe.
Okay, it's really cool, and it kind of turns the game on its head.
Oh, cool!
In a very cool way.
Oh man, I want to play this. Gotta finish all these other games.
Yeah, really.
Right.
Seriously. We need a backlog attack like every 3 months.
Oh yeah, man.
That's what we need.
So, DJ, you've been playing some games.
I've been playing a lot of Street Pass, doing a lot of that.
I just had visions of you sitting on a bench at PAX, just clearing out Street Pass tags.
Oh man, that's like, my first PAX when I went 3 years ago. I had like bought a 3DS, maybe not even a month before, but that was like when they did the whole ambassador thing. And I got in on the last second because I dropped the price. So I had this like new thing, and I had no idea what Street Pass was. And I went there, and it was just like completely off the charts, like Street Passing constantly. And I was just like, this is like too much to handle. It's really weird, because like if you're not in the US, if you're not at a convention, you never Street Pass anybody. Like essentially never. And if you go to a convention, it's the only thing you're doing, because it's just like
feast or famine,
constant Street Passing. Yeah, so I don't know. I wish there was like a better balance.
I wish it would just catalog all of them. I wish I didn't, because it for those who don't know, it gets to about 10, right?
Yeah.
And then 10. It doesn't let you do any more until you clear those out. And by clearing them out, you have to kind of go to your front gate and welcome them to your town and check their puzzle pieces. And
it's a cumbersome process.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun, but when you're trying to sort of get to the next thing you want to see at PAX, it is eating up time you don't have.
Right, and they just released these 4 new games for it a couple months ago, and I was like desperate to play a couple of these because you can't usually because you don't have street passes. And man, when you're doing 4 games and collecting puzzle pieces and playing Find Me or whatever, it takes you like an hour per set of 10 people, which is insane. So I don't know. I became very like focused in my street passing the whole weekend. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get all the puzzle pieces. I'll be done with that. I'm gonna get through this last dungeon, and I'm never gonna play Find Me again. I don't know. It's very it's pretty strange circumstances to play a game under. But also, still enjoying all those games quite a bit. So I think they have a success there if you haven't checked those out. Yeah. But as far as the games that I didn't bring with me to PAX, I saw quite a few. Actually, I realized, or more of an observation, I guess. I think I played the fewest amount of games this year for one reason or another. Despite the convention going an extra day this year, I went into Monday. I think it was because I had all these kind of high-profile panels throughout the whole weekend, and I ended up getting in line very early for a lot of those. So I spent a lot of time in line doing either street passing or playing Monster Hunter or whatever. Also just spent a lot of time hanging out with people who were also attending, which was nice. It didn't bother me so much that I wasn't getting to see all the new stuff because, honestly, a lot of the new stuff just doesn't really appeal to me. They were showing off like, Xbox One games. They had like Rise and Titanfall. Titanfall actually looked pretty cool, but the line for that was endless.
I'm sure.
Is Rise as boring in real life as it is in the videos I've seen?
I've watched a little of it, and I don't know. I don't get it from the videos, but I've heard people actually say the game itself is pretty good.
Oh, really? Well, that's nice.
I don't know. I can't speak to it. I watched some Battlefield 4, which obviously I'm kind of interested in, but it also looks very similar to Battlefield 3. In fact, while I was watching it, a guy came up to me and he was like, Is this Battlefield 3? What is this here? I'm like, no, it's Battlefield 4. It's a new game.
It's a bait and switch.
Yeah, there are a lot of games that just like as soon as I saw the the big gun in the lower right corner, I'm just like, I don't need to play this ever. I'm kind of cooled on first person shooters.
They were demoing both of the next gen systems at PAX, right? Did you get a chance to play either of them?
Yes. I played some PS4.
If by play you mean stand 10 feet away from.
Wait in line for an hour.
I played a couple PS4 games. I did not play any Xbox One games. I did hold the controller.
Well, that's something.
I snuck into the Battlefield area as they were clearing out one session, and I was like, can I just play with a controller for a minute while you get the next group in here? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. Felt like
that is not the weirdest request we've had today.
Probably not. But no, the Xbox One controller feels pretty good. It feels like it has a real D-pad this time, which is nice.
Cool.
Other than that, not a whole lot of impressions on it. PS4 controller also felt pretty good. A lot of people saying it's like the godsend of controllers. I don't know if I got that impression from it, but I don't think people will be disappointed.
Cool. It's super sexy looking, and they announced today that it works perfectly with your PC as well. So
that's great.
Thank God.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's pretty exciting news, I think. Yeah.
So anyway, I do have a list of stuff I actually did play. So why don't we go through it? I'll try not to take up too much time. First of all, just want to get this out of the way. I played Lost Planet 3 because there was no line.
You're really down on that, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So this is actually out right now, and there was no line at the Capcom booth. People would walk by like, "Oh, when did they make Lost Planet 3?" And it was just like last week, guys, because they did like no marketing for this. And it was terrible. I mean, it wasn't terrible. As a Lost Planet fan, I thought it was pretty terrible. It's basically Gears of War, Lost Planet Edition. So, if you like Gears of War, it felt, the whole time I was playing it, it felt like the last time I felt like this playing a game, it was Red Faction Armageddon, which was also awful. And an enormous disappointment. But
Randy, this is perfect for your backlog next
right?
year.
Seriously, I'm like, dude, I think I need to play this Lost Planet game.
I mean, those games, I guess I'm probably being hard on them just because I was a huge fan of the predecessors, and
Right.
they're
you
like
have expectations. That's your problem.
right, and they are a complete betrayal of, like longtime fans. Like, this is not the game they're looking for, but others may enjoy it. Like the Gears of War crowd may enjoy it, which I think is the kind of their intent in making both of these. So I hope that works out well for them. But I'm
Just
not
as
going to
a
be playing.
side comment, I think Capcom as a company is kind of getting away from what made them successful. Just personal observation here. 'Cause
Yeah.
Since Street Fighter 4, I haven't been that interested in just about anything they're doing right now, which is kind of sad because I grew up as a huge fan. So hopefully they can get back on track.
You like Phoenix Wright and stuff like that. Oh, Phoenix Wright was there. I didn't get to play it, but it was there.
Cool.
It seemed to be very popular. But anyway, let's switch to a brighter note. I played Zelda Link Between Worlds on the 3DS.
That's the sequel to Link to Past?
Yes.
Okay, I need to know about this because why would you make a sequel to a
know.
game that is perfect? That's risky.
Okay. I think you will be very happy. In fact, let me find my notes. I took a lot of notes.
Okay. Because, I mean, if a game is perfect, do you really want it? We saw what happened with the Chrono Cross. Ooh, can of worms.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
But,
yeah.
I mean, if is it good? Does it hold up to the standards set by its predecessor?
Well, so I played through a whole demo session, and it feels like Link to the Past, except in, kind of updated in 3D.
Oh, cool.
I mean, first of all, you're on the same overworld map, which is like, I don't know, I like that map. It's kind of disappointing that it's back there, because a lot of the enjoyment, I think, from playing Link to the Past was just like, man, at the time, that overworld was immense.
And beautiful.
Yeah, and
varied
looked
and just
great.
fun to explore.
So it's a little disappointing because I'm like, oh, I know where everything is.
So it's the exact same map?
I think it's more or less the same map. Like,
Well, that seems like a very strange choice.
Yeah, that's
it's
disappointing.
a little weird, but at the same time, it's kind of like, oh, this is familiar and nice. But so anyway, I'm not sure what to make of that for now. But the dungeons, I believe, are all new. I played a little bit of the dungeon, and it felt like like I said, it felt quite a bit like just more Link to the Past. It felt very good. One of the interesting things is that they seem to have replaced a lot of the items, like bombs and arrows, with the magic meter. So you no longer collect bombs and other supply items. They all, you spend magic points to use items. Which is, I guess, kind of a nice streamlining, but I don't know how that'll affect my overall enjoyment, because, what else are you going to spend rupees on now?
Right. That seems like a big change to kind of a core Zelda mechanic.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see how that works out. It's just an unusual design choice, I noticed.
Now, there's something I'm seeing in some of the demos, DJ, where Link turns into kind of a 2D wall drawing, and he can go through cracks in the bricks and stuff like that. Did you get into that? What is that about?
Yeah, so what happens is you run up to a wall. I don't know what the explanation for this is, but you run up to a wall, and then you become, like you said, a 2D wall painting, and you can kind of walk along the wall, like if you imagine a Egyptian hieroglyphic, just like walking along the wall. So you can go around corners and stuff like that, and they use it to there are a lot of traversal puzzles involved, so like maybe there's a fence or something blocking your way across a gap, but if you can attach yourself to the wall and the wall extends to where you're trying to get to, you can do it that way.
Oh, cool.
I wonder why Nintendo is going back to Link to the Past, though. That seems so weird, because it's been 20 years.
It is really weird. I don't know. I think, I don't know, my kind of cynical guess at it would be that, everybody loves Link to the Past, so they would love more Link to the Past.
Right.
I mean, why not
girl,
just do an
I heard you
entirely
like
new...
A Link to the Past.
But it's like, well, I do like Link to the Past, and I would like more Link to the Past, so let's do it. Let's do this.
Cool. It looks awesome. And it's this year, right? It's in December?
It comes out the same day as, I think, Super Mario 3D World. Don't quote me on that. It comes out the same day as another... I have it on my calendar.
I'm actually pretty excited for this game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, after playing the demo, I think I'm definitely sold. Looked really good in 3D.
The portable Zeldas on the DS have never disappointed me. I enjoyed both of those very, very much. So I'm looking forward to this too.
Yeah. And man, I have yet to play one of those, but I'll probably end up playing this one before either of them. Anyway, so that was very good. And just as a small aside, it was right next to the massive line to play Wind Waker HD. I think they were giving away T-shirts or something for this. And I noticed that they, if you watch the original trailers for this, it looked like super glossy and kind of bloomy, and everything was way oversaturated. And I really didn't like it because I thought it was a huge departure from the cell shaded look. And it looks like they've really toned it down actually since the debut trailer. In fact, I heard one of the Nintendo booth staff talking about like, oh yeah, they actually did tweak the bloom a little bit. They've reduced it for the final version.
It's a little less day glow, huh?
Yeah, I mean it looks much closer to the GameCube version now, which is nice.
Oh, cool.
That's a good thing, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like the outside sections still look a little glowy, but definitely not as extreme as in the original trailer. So
And is that due this year as well?
that's coming out. Yes, in fact, it's a little unusual. They're releasing that the special edition Zelda Wii U, which has this, I guess, pre-installed, and that comes out in a couple weeks actually. I think on the 20th, and then the full release, like the separate release, comes out a few weeks later. So if you want to play it right away, you gotta get in on one of the bundles.
Oh, that's kind of an interesting tactic. And the Wii tablet in that has some cool Zelda art on it too. I saw a little
it's kind of like the
image
fancy
of that
Zelda edition.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't know if it's a reason to buy a Wii U for me just yet, even with the reduced price. But I loves me some Wind Waker, man. I definitely need to play this at some point.
I think so. And especially they added that hero mode, which is a little more difficult. So even if you're a veteran, maybe you're not too interested in it. That's something for.
I'd like to give Wind Waker a proper try as well, because you guys know I never did complete it, and I mean I tried, but I didn't have that good of a time. I don't know why, but I would love to give it another shot. And if I had to get a Wii U to play it in HD, I might just do that. Next year sometime. I would consider it at the very least.
Yeah, I think Wind Waker is one of the greatest looking games of all time, and I think the graphics have even aged really well just because of the style. So
totally,
it looks incredible in HD, and I don't know if I'll get it right away, but I imagine I will at some point.
That is my favorite iteration of that world, and I think I've beat up the Wind Waker thing repeatedly on the show. But that version of Link and that art style for the Legend of Zelda series that's my iconic sort of image of that. Game. When I think Zelda and Link, I think of exactly what those characters look like in those games. So
it's funny because for me it would be Link to the Past. So
I think so. I mean, I think I might be shifting more towards the Wind Waker camp or side of things because I think that was just had much more visual impact. But
totally.
I love both those games.
The hook shot, though, DJ, the first time it appeared.
Oh, man, the hook shot was legendary.
It's a legend.
Like, even before I used it, I was just like, I can't wait to get this thing. This thing's going to be something special.
It changed the world forever.
Yeah, oh, man. Anyway, so that's a couple
instead of
Zelda
20-year-old games, what else did you play, DJ?
Years. I played this one called Speedrunners, and I got to look up the developers and all these. But this was like a local multiplayer competitive racing game where you all race around this kind of maze in a loop, and as soon as you drop off the screen you're out of the game, so it's like you try and stay ahead of everybody else. I was just like kind of brushed into this booth really quickly. I was trying to get to somewhere else and they're like, hey, check out this game, and they pulled me aside and I was like, oh. Suddenly I'm playing this game. But it was pretty fun, actually. I imagine if you have a lot of people over for some couch co-op, it would be a good time, kind of a good party game.
Okay.
A lot of yelling.
We need more games like that. There's not a lot of that in games. Yeah. Not any way that I want anyways. But
I think it's coming back. Like, you hear a lot, or I don't know if you guys have been following the Sports Friends thing coming out on PS3 and Steam later this year?
No.
Sometime.
Not
it's got
personally.
like Johann Sebastian Joust, which is not really a video game, but has all these other kind of competitive games designed for local multiplayer.
Oh, cool.
I didn't play this, but I've just been hearing about it because they keep sending out Kickstarter updates, and I backed it. But I like this trend. It's kind of like online multiplayer was hot last generation, but now people are like, oh, we can make these local games that are totally different.
We got to do something with those giant 60-inch televisions everybody has.
Yeah,
I mean, huddling around a 19-inch CRT television set, back in the day and trying to play multiplayer. It was nice and all, but let's make use of these giant screens we have and bring it back,
Right.
couch co-op and couch competitive modes. I say I'm all for that.
Well, there hasn't been something like that I can think of since Rock Band, since the rise and fall of Rock Band, where it's, a bunch of people in the living room, a couple of beers, just, going crazy and kind of poking fun at each other and having a good time.
The time is ripe for a Bomberman, either a new Bomberman or a Bomberman clone.
Oh, yeah.
Do it.
Bomberman.
Yep.
Time is now.
Do it. All right. What else you played, DJ?
I went to a lot of really cool panels. I went to see Hideki Kamiya talk about the Wonderful 101, another Wii U game I think I've mentioned on here. Something you guys might be interested in. We saw the Last of Us panel with Neil Druckmann, who's the creative director, and a couple other Naughty Dog guys. But they basically delivered the same, the original pitch for the game that they gave to Sony in 2010.
Oh, that's cool.
When the project was still under its code name, and it was like, oh man, it was really fascinating. If you're into like game design or development, or you've been following The Last of Us, it was really amazing. I hope they put that online at some point, but we will see. Really cool. It seemed like even in the early stages, they really had a concrete idea of what they wanted to do with the game, where the story would go. They had a really fleshed out vision for that world, which is very unique.
Cool. Is there anything that you can recall from the presentation that you thought maybe ended up being a big departure in the final product? Was there anything that was surprising to you?
Actually, the story is significantly different.
Oh, really?
The middle section of the story, and I don't know if I want to give away too much.
It's hard to talk about a game's narrative, and obviously I tried with Shin Megami and I failed miserably, but so good luck.
Well, I apologize for asking that question. We can have that conversation offline, and if you want to know what it was, get in touch with Medley or DJ at VGHangover.com.
Well, so there have been some blog posts about this. They were talking about like early development stuff, but I guess this is not really a spoiler. But there's this character you meet at the beginning of the game named Tess in the final game, and originally there was going to be an event that happens where she is turned against your main character, Joel, and she ends up chasing you throughout the rest of the game as like an antagonist.
Oh, really?
And she's like a friendly character in the game.
It's so not the way it turned out, yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, that's really weird to think about how that dynamic would have worked, like if you had like a stalker the entire game. So I don't know. Maybe they'll end up reusing that for another project. I don't know. They had a lot of really interesting ideas.
Did that kind of give you any insight onto how like Naughty Dog thinks big picture, about their games?
They had there were a lot of really like revelatory moments in like just how they approach stuff. They showed the entire kind of the game storyboarded out, or like in post-it note form at one point.
Oh wow!
And you could kind of see, like, you couldn't read everything, but you could see like, oh, here's the winter section, here's the fall section, stuff like that. And they kind of blocked out all the different encounters too, which is kind of funny because you'd think it was a weird mix of like narrative structure and also gameplay structure. So I'd love to, like, if there's got to be some kind of making of documentary or art book. It might have even come with the special edition. I don't know, but I don't know. It's definitely one of my favorite games of the year. So any chance to learn more about everything that went into it was a great opportunity.
I love that stuff when I think PAX brings it out really well, Gamescom and stuff like that, where you get a bunch of developers talking to developers or talking to very enthusiastic kind of loyalists about the process of what went into the game and the fallout of the time afterwards, and whether that game was a success or failure and the effect it had on the people who made it and the company that they ran. And
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me too. I think that is infinitely more interesting and engaging than what kind of weapons will it have, and does it have online co-op, and I mean all that stuff's important.
I love behind the scenes documentaries,
and particularly in a industry that is still very secretive. That is still
It is.
very,
It does feel that way.
Yeah, to have people who are this, it was just revealed this week, and I'm on a sort of sequitur here, obviously, but revealed this week that David Cage had initially pitched Heavy Rain to the Microsoft folks.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And they passed on it because they didn't think they could market a game that featured the kidnapping of a child as its main story pivot point. And then it sort of went on to become this really excellent PS3 exclusive, and I think it's kind of iconic of the PS3 generation at this point. But it's just surprising that something, and I think David had said that they had asked them to change that, and like, well, how do you change that? How do you take that out of the game and still keep it the same game? So that's I love that stuff, and it only sort of comes out afterwards for the most part, but it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
DJ, before you left for Seattle, I forgot to ask you if you could check and see if there was going to be any Witcher 3 information or demos. Did you see anything?
I don't think they were there.
They weren't there?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That's still a ways off, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's not going to be until next year. But I was just curious if, they may have had some of those demos from E3 or something.
No, so if I had seen it, I definitely would have gone over and checked it out.
Okay.
So I clearly didn't see it. So anyway, one last note. Then there was kind of like both kind of inspiring and also a little disheartening. With Neil Druckmann was talking about this game and actually developing the character of Ellie in The Last of Us, and talking about how some focus groups had responded to it, like maybe they weren't interested in having this annoying like 14-year-old girl character they had to escort. And they were saying like any other company might go back at that point and be like, okay, so how do we change this character to make it appeal more to a wider audience? And
right.
They were very set in like keeping their idea and concept for the character. And it sounded like they had made Uncharted 1 and 2 at this point, and they essentially, I'm guessing, had a blank check from Sony to do whatever they wanted with this game, which is like, oh, that must be so great to be able to not have to compromise.
It's so liberating,
your
exactly.
Game. Yeah, in hopes of capturing some more sales, but at the same time, it's just like, oh, you think about all the other developers who aren't able to do that because their publisher is like breathing down their necks about it the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, that artistic integrity that's something I really respect about Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
I think that comes from the community too. And we've spoken in the past about liking devs who are engaged and talk to the people who are going to play their game and have played their games about, what do you want? What do you want it to do? But I think there's also something to be said for not focus grouping your product to death, for making the thing that you have a vision to make and sort of putting it out there any way you want. It's a fine line.
Yeah, Fuse says hello. Okay, right, so anyway, exactly. that was The Last of Us. I'm gonna try the Oculus Rift for a little while, which is that weird VR headset.
Oh, cool.
It was actually pretty effectively immersive. I just played a tech demo with it, but there were definitely moments using that thing where I was sitting in a chair the whole time, and I thought I might like fall over or something like that because I was moving my head weird.
This is the sort of like the VR immersion headset, essentially, right?
Yeah, and the booth that was demoing it was actually not Oculus, but it was another group that had these basically like PlayStation Move controllers where you can like, they represented your hands in the game, so you got kind of the full VR experience. It was pretty interesting.
Huh.
I wish I had more to say about it, but I don't know. I think after having tried it, before having tried it, I was really. It sounded like it was going to be like the next jump in video gaming afterwards. I'm not so sure, although it was very impressive. So I don't know. If you have a chance to check it out, maybe do that. But I really want to talk about a couple more things. One is went to go see a panel with Keiji Inafune formerly from Capcom.
Formerly.
Who is the creator of Mega Man and lots of other Capcom favorites. And he gave really inspiring talk about starting out when Capcom was just, a tiny company and developing Mega Man, and him and his whole staff killing themselves while they're working on this other game and trying to develop Mega Man 2 simultaneously, like as a labor of love, essentially, because they really believed in it. So it was really incredible to hear about it. But then the big news, and I think maybe the biggest news, or one of the biggest pieces to come out of the whole con, was he announced his new game, Mighty Number 9, which is, as you know, he doesn't work for Capcom anymore, but it's essentially the spiritual successor to Mega Man. He showed off all these designs and everything about how he.
And it's pretty much Mega Man.
It is. It's like uncomfortably similar to Mega Man.
Capcom's lawyers, they're on call.
Warm up your lawyers, exactly.
Which is like, it's just like, I think it's fantastic because I love Mega Man, and it's sad that he can't make Mega Man games anymore. So this is, why not make something that's as close to Mega Man as possible? But
Sure.
I'll see stuff like it's Mega Man. It's a different color Mega Man, and like the logo is a Mega Man logo. So it's
kind of funny,
weird.
yeah.
It's
But he's crowdfunding it, right? I mean, he's really bringing it to the people.
It's already funded. In fact, it's funded very quickly.
Yeah,
Now they're working on the stretch
heard.
goals. But like hearing him talk about it, I mean, he's never really had a bad game, at least not that I can remember. So I'm sure it'll be great. That was very exciting. Have you guys been? I assume you heard some of the news about it.
Oh yeah, it was. I think you're probably right. I think from a observer's perspective, it was definitely kind of the biggest piece of PAX hubbub, until everybody got home and the Penny Arcade guys went crazy. But
Yeah.
But it's fascinating that a tenured developer, such as him, would do that. Like,
totally. Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And I wonder if we're going to see more of that. These talented developers who leave an established company and then all of a sudden, they're awesome. They have the history of making games. It's not like taking a flyer on some of these unknowns. But now you have people with, 15 years of experience and like 10 great games that have shipped. And they're like, yeah, well, let's get some crowdsourcing and make what you want. I want to see more of that. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff going on. There's like that JRPG happening somewhere on Kickstarter, and then like Chris Roberts is doing his Star Citizen, something like that. Like
right,
Wing
yeah.
Commander MMO. Sounds really awesome.
Well, and that's the
I'm
Double
sure
Fine
we'll just see
sort of
more.
approach to life at this point too, is they really are doing sort of smaller experiences away from the big studio systems for the most part, so they can make the kind of games that they want to make.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope it works out well for them. I'm thinking of backing a couple of these. Even maybe I'm not even interested in playing them. I just want to,
See them get done.
it'd be great if it could work out that way. Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, so then last thing is, I guess, like I said, I didn't play a whole lot of games, but this was probably my game of the show of what I played, which is for PS4 Octodad Dadliest Catch.
What the hell is this?
Happy to hear you say that.
This game is so. Paul, do you know anything about this? Randy,
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I've
It's
kind
like-
of been monitoring it, but yeah.
Okay, so here's the premise: is you are you're the husband in this family. You're a loving husband and father in a kind of a middle class suburban family, and also you are an octopus, and they are not aware of this.
Right, you are
So
secretly an octopus.
Yeah, so your objective in the game is to live your life, your normal suburban white picket fences life, and perform everyday tasks without anyone else discovering that you, in fact, are an octopus.
Okay.
And that's pretty much what the game is. Like, it gives you these totally menial tasks, like, wake up and make coffee and go mow the lawn. But the whole time you're under the scrutiny of everybody else, like, oh, the guy's acting a little funny. I wonder what the deal is.
And you've
And
got
you're an
tentacles
octopus.
flopping around
And the
everywhere.
way it controls is absurd. Because it's almost like playing Quap. Like, you control the legs with the triggers. So it's like left trigger, step with your left tentacle, and then right tentacle, you alternate. And then you like press a button to switch to your arms, which you control with the analog sticks. And it's ridiculous because it's like you don't control it. It's like in 3D space, and you have to wiggle this tentacle around to pick up objects. But it's hysterical because the whole time it's like, you're smashing objects off shelves and picking up the wrong stuff. It's like, oh, I didn't mean to pick up this hatchet or whatever. I would put that back. And it's crazy. Like, the whole game is so silly and irreverent. It's like, it's hilarious to watch. It's hilarious to play, especially after you realize what players are going through trying to play this. It looks like a cartoon where just objects are flying around the whole time. Oh,
That
so
actually
good.
sounds really awesome.
Yeah, I am dying to play it. I cannot wait for Octodad to come out.
Yeah. It's absurd. Like, so I mentioned you wake up and you make coffee, and I was like, okay, you're gonna use a coffee machine. So you go over to the machine and you put the pot in the machine, and it's like, oh, trying to pour the coffee in, and you just like grab this bag of coffee beans and like spray it all around the room. And it's like, okay, there's enough coffee in the machine, go ahead. And so the next thing is you have to take milk out to your, it's like, your daughter would like some milk. So I go to the fridge and grab a whole gallon jug of milk, and I start walking out to the living room. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I should have put it in a glass first. And the guy who's guiding me through the demo is like, oh, no, it's okay. She just wants the milk. You're fine. I'm like, okay, just take this whole jug of milk out and drop it in the living room, and mission accomplished. And then, I had to go mow the lawn and chop some firewood, which you can imagine is absurd. But, like, it's crazy. And it's, like, just defies kind of it's like, none of this should make any sense. Like, they should be able to tell this guy is maybe an octopus. But for the most part, they're just like, oh, okay, he's just grilling hamburgers. I guess that's fine. Nothing unusual here.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, good times.
So that is out on PS4 and Steam sometime in 2014, and yeah, I'm gonna play that. Oh, I can't wait to see the speed runs for this, like the pro players who are just like really good at being an octopus, because that's gonna be something to must be.
Oh man.
Cool. Well, it doesn't sound like you played a ton of stuff, DJ, but you played some good stuff.
I did. I was disappointed because walking through the indie booth, which has been my favorite part of the show the last couple of years, it was so much more crowded, and there was just so much bizarre stuff that I had no idea what it was. I would have loved to stop and check it out, but I had to narrow in on a couple of games that I plan to see.
Right. Well, and you had to clear out your street passes.
Oh yeah, that too. I mean, yeah, I saved most of that for waiting in line, but yeah,
right.
There's always that.
Cool. Well, hey, thank you for chiming in. Is there anything else you wanted to throw in there, or are you satisfied with your list?
I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, there's some other games that I didn't mention just because we're short on time, but maybe I'll mention them as they get closer to actual release. I did stop by the Gaijin Games booth, one of my favorites. We talked about Runner 2 before, and picked up a code for Runner 2 on the PC. Comes with the new Good Friends DLC, so if you have not played Runner 2 on the PC, I highly recommend doing that. And if you like this code, all you have to do is tweet me on Twitter, because that's where you tweet people.
That's where you do that.
I'll let you have it for the same way I got it, which is just tweet me the word pickles, and I will send you the Steam code. So we are VG Hangover on Twitter. Just pickles. That's
will
it.
2014 finally be the year where the three of us all get to PAX at the same time?
I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll wait and see. It's getting tougher every year to get passes. So
yeah, that's the hard part. We'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be excellent.
Yeah.
Think of the power. We get the three of us into one room.
We've been saying this for a couple of years now.
The world
got
can't
to
handle
make it reality sometime.
Cool. We'll do something. We'll make it happen someday, maybe.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll
Cool.
get there.
All right. Last call. We have a little time for this. Let's do some last call. We haven't done one in a few weeks.
Let's
Before
do
we
it. Let's
say
just
good night.
Well, we do own the show, so we can do
We
whatever
do. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
We got time for one last thing. Paul, what's your last call this week?
My last call. Finally, I get to talk about it on the show. But DJ's got that Lore in a Minute project he's been working on for the last couple of years, and he was kind enough to ask me to do the voiceover for the latest, well, actually it's not latest anymore, but a couple of weeks ago, the Animal Crossing Lore in a Minute came out.
Yes,
and
it was kind of a
truly,
unique episode.
Yes, it was a lot of fun to do. I got to do the voiceover. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was an interesting take on the Animal Crossing lore, or lack thereof. I thought it came out great, and I'm so grateful that DJ invited me to do the voiceover for that. So hey, thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. And if you haven't seen it yet, check it out.
Yeah, so that's youtube.com/lore.
Yeah.
And
his artwork, as usual, is incredible. So if you haven't been following the lore in a minute, yeah, definitely check out the Animal Crossing one, because 2 of the 3 of us were involved, and it was so much fun.
I think my invitation must have got lost in the mail, but whatever. Whatevs.
You can do the Army of 2, Lore.
Oh, sure, we'll do that. Absolutely, make it happen.
You'll need 2 people for that.
the Mind Jack lore.
Oh dear.
Yeah, make them happen. All right, my last call this week, music recommendation. I haven't done one of these in a long time, but there is a new Nine Inch Nails CD out this week called Hesitation Marks. It is the best thing Trent Reznor has done in a very long time. It is so good. I can't stop listening to it. So if you are a Nin fan from way back and maybe have fallen off the wagon a little bit lately, get the new one. It's fantastic. There's also a really cool article that Trent from Nine Inch Nails did with Spin, which I didn't even know was a magazine anymore. But he talks about the whole creative process and how he deals with haters and his embracing of social media and stuff. So it's very unique to hear these perspectives from somebody I think is an artist in a lot of ways. So I will put links to that interview in our show notes.
Excellent.
DJ, what's your last call?
Like I said, I hung out with a lot of great people at PAX. It was a fantastic weekend, probably my favorite PAX yet, but just shout outs to everybody on Twitter. Araka Sahara, Bitprofit, Creed8, Zen Prime, 3 Random Words, and Q00. And of course, Mr. Kenji Salt, got to hang out with that guy quite a bit. It was a fantastic weekend. Thank you all. And see you next year, hopefully.
That is quite the rogues gallery.
Yeah.
How did
if I forget everyone, I'm sorry. I'm very embarrassed. Let me know.
Cool. Well, if you have questions or comments about anything we talked about in the show, we are VG Hangover on Twitter and Facebook, or you can go to our blog at vghangover.com and let us know what's on your mind. Please review us on iTunes. That helps in some way that we don't understand, so please do it.
Send us those reviews. Yeah, I forgot to check this week again, but we will read them.
It does something magical, something wonderful. Well, let's say goodnight. This has been Randy Dickinson.
I'm DJ Ross.
And this is Paul Sandu.
Thanks for listening to Video Game Hangover. Goodbye.
Have yourselves a good one.
Night.
You've been listening to Video Game Hangover. Tweet your gaming questions to VG Hangover on Twitter, or you can always interact with us at vghangover.com. We'll feature the best stuff on a future episode. This week's music is by Ricky Hanmong from the soundtrack to the Curve Studios games Stealth Bastard and Stealth Inc. You can listen to the entire soundtrack and download a copy for yourself at curvestudios.bandcamp.com. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.